This is the electric motor that I've selected for the job. It's a 350 watt electric scooter motor, and runs on 20 volts. So I've got a motor speed controller here. It conveniently comes with a display that shows me the percentage that's running, and it probably only needs to run this at about half voltage, I should think. It runs up to 2,500 RPM, but I probably won't need as much as that. I put small pulleys on here so I can run it a little bit faster, and I put a little so there'll be a reduction if I use this pulley up onto the main wheel. So that side of it is now selected and ready. This is the block that sits on top of this assembly on the back. It sits on top of here. Actually, I'm going to bore a hole that's that dimension, and I'm going to seat it on there, but actually it'll also have a bearing surface on there. So in order to get that to work, this being larger diameter than this, I've got to slit this after I've bored it, and then put 2 bolts through here to clamp it on, so it'll be clamped on front and back. And then the jockey wheels come out of here at an angle, and also above, so that it can take the lines out to the front for the front spindle. So I can't add anything on here, I can't really drill holes in here, so I really was faced with the only way of doing it was to make like a clamp that fits on here. So it clamps on in that fashion like that. That should be okay. So I'll bore this out now, and I'll bore it to the smaller size first and then take it from there. I've now bored out to 40mm across this. That's the smaller dimension that I need, and now I need to bell this out on the inside to 42.3, so it doesn't need to come out a lot, but just over the middle section of this and more towards this end. So I'll just clean up a bit and set up for doing that, and I'll probably use this tool at an angle. I haven't really got anything very suitable other than this, so let's go with that to start with. This is very difficult to see, and you can't really see it, but I'm boring bars right with my fingers pointing, and I've made two marks just to check where I'm going. So I've got 8mm with nothing cut into it, then 8mm with a depth of 42.4, and then the rest of it with nothing, and that should then enable me to fit that around the casting, I hope. And I'll probably bore it out slightly larger than I need, so we'll see how we go. I'll work that apart now. I won't do any more filming of this. I've taken the block off now. I've drilled these holes here through well into this side. There's 4 holes. I'm going to take M5 bolts through, screws through there, and I've managed to avoid missing the recessed part, which is good, and I'm going to cut it across here so I can sandwich it as a clamp across the top of the spindle bracket. I don't know whether anybody's tried one of these, but this is one of my best additions to the workshop. It's a Sheppel, Sheppach, S-C-H-E-P-P-A-C-H band saw or metal saw, and it has absolutely transformed what I need in the workshop. I find cutting chunks of iron and steel and brass very time consuming and hard work, especially as I'm now in my late 70s. So I can do it reasonably accurately, very quickly, and with almost no effort. So I've set the saw, it hits hinged, so it comes down here. I'll leave it in that position and I'll just saw it until it's cut. But I'm sorry I can't get it any closer. And as you can see, that absolutely whizzed through there, and you can see where the holes are that I've drilled for the top half of this to make it a clamp. Take that off there, and just see how that fits now onto the top of the column. I haven't unfortunately got any bolts that are long enough at the moment, so I shall have to deal with that later. I'll have to send off some in the post, but I can drill all the holes ready and tap them. This is the block now clamped just temporarily with ordinary screws rather than cap head screws, which I'll replace them with when I've got them. And this angle on the top is to take the jockey wheels, which go into there at the 45-degree angle, and I'll probably run that in to about that plate position there, and the position of the wheels only needs to be just about there, maybe a little bit higher. It's perfect for the up and down position, that's not a problem, but here it wants to be as low as possible. It wants to be as low as possible in relation to where the pulley is on the top here. So that's my next job, to sort out where that's going to come. But so far I'm quite pleased with that. I'm not going to remake it or anything, that worked out quite well. And this clamps up very nicely like that, nice and tight. And I haven't even had to use some glue. I thought I might have to glue it on, but no, that's fine as it is. This material, by the way, is aluminium 7075, which is very tough stuff. Invented by the Japanese in the Second World War, and it's beautiful to machine, but quite tough to machine, and it's got the strength not far off of mild steel, so it's a very good material. Anyway, that's now done that part of it, so progress is being made quite rapidly. I've completed this section here now with the jockey wheels on top, and as expected I'm now an inch higher than I am at the front, or not quite, yes, I'm a bit more than an inch including the jockey wheels. So I need to think of the best solution now that I've got to be able to reduce the amount so that the drive for these runs across at a level. So I need about an inch and a half at the an inch or an inch and a half at the front of the column basically I've got to lose an inch and a half, which that's down the front. You can see I've now made the first of the levers that I've got to adjust the movement and lock in position, and that you can see is fairly conventional. It runs on a screw through here and pinches up on the other side of the top. These are made from bought levers which are the right size, but unfortunately the fat end of it has got a hole that's drilled at 90 degrees through it, which is a nuisance. If that had been at an angle like that and there'd been a built-in dome at the top, and then if it had no hole through it and it just simply had a bit at the top that was part of the solid, they'd be easy to do. So what I have to do now is to make a metal insert that goes through this hole, has a domed head and goes through to this end, a bit like a rivet. So it's a cap on the top, like a mushroom cap on the top, and then there's a bit that goes through the hole, and it's flat on the bottom, and then that's silver soldered through the bottom here right the way and penetrates right the way through, making this sealed at the top. So you can just see there's a little dark line round there, you can see, which is the edge of the dome that I've added on the top. I managed to make these and assemble them and clean them up without having to make any jigs, all done by hand. The angle on here it's quite easy to do just simply by eye and by hand, and checking the angle that you've got here, which is 15 degrees of slope between the angle of this surface and this. So effectively it's moved forward so that there's an angle in there at 15 degrees. To make the little rivet shaped end to go into the ball handle, I am using this, which is exactly the right diameter of stock to make the edge of the top of it, but it needs a mushroom rounding out on the end of it. And I've made a ball turning attachment up here, which is very simple. It just is a standard tool for taking boring bars in, and I've taken a sleeve out of here, put in a brass bush in each end, and that makes a very nice rigid setup. little cleaning up with the Scotch-Brite wheel, and this is how it is now, and you can just about make out the dome patch that I've added. And all I have to do now is to get the right angle here, which is the 15 degrees slope back, and I can do that by filing in the vise. So when I've done that, I drill the middle of it to take the screw through at right angles to the slope that I've filed on it. Again, I don't need to do that with special jigs and things. I can do that mostly by eye after the flat's been filed. So I'll file the flat next. And this is after I've finished filing at an approximate angle of 15 degrees with a coarse file. It came off quite easily, and it starts off at this edge because obviously the slope previously was like this and it's got to be like that. So you can also see that the silver solder has flowed nicely into the centre. So all I have to do now is to drill this hole out. Just get something to point with. To drill this out right in the centre of this oval round here, there. And this one's got to have a M6. This one has to have an M6 thread in it.